Hi, Deputy Terry with you. And it was just range day, so I thought I'd check in and let you know how it went with 6.5 by 55 Swede in the new, my fairly new T3X Hunter by Tika. It's made in Finland. So we'll get into that. And also I want to tell you today about some other things. About the wind at the range. I want to tell you about kind of show you the targets that I shot out there. Talk a little bit about the fire-formed brass I was able to reclaim, and then I talk to you about the bipod, a couple of bipods that I bought. And I finally got my Glock back from the Glock store. It took a while, but we'll talk about that as well. Overall, don't panic, Glock store. You guys did a good job. It just took a while, you know. And today's coffee day. So, first of all, here's the Swede. I put one of these cheapo Chinese cheek rests on there. It really helps getting my cheek up in line with the sight. It's not very aesthetic, but it works, so that's the main thing. And we'll talk about the bipod that I chose here. But so far, this is turning out really well. It's exceeded my expectations. Of course, this Steiner Predator 4S S designation is short. As you can see, it doesn't look like a sewer pipe hanging on the top of the rifle. And it's really nice, 4x16. And it's bright, and you can see all the way out to the edge of the circle. And it is illuminated, as I did explain before, I believe. Red and green, of your choice, of course, and different brightness levels. So we'll just set that aside for a second. So it was windy at the range. I'm not kidding. It was 15 to 25 blowing straight across. There was a guy out there, and he had one of those little handheld wind, I guess you call it a wind meter, anemometer, something like that. And he told me it was blowing 15 to 25, and he was asking me how I was doing. I was shooting at 100 meters, and so there was some horizontal movement as to be expected, you know, a couple of inches with the gusts at 25. But let me tell you a story. When I was a young deputy, part of my job was to travel around in a big van, like a big Dodge Ram van. It had a lot of rows of seats. And I had to go with my training officer, and a lot of times it was this big barrel-chested man, Jerry Summers. Rest in peace, Jerry. And he was a master sergeant, retired out of the Presidio in San Francisco. And that was where they sent me for my first duty station. We drove all over California, dropping off federal prisoners and picking them up. And I mean, like Vacaville, Quentin, Terminal Island, contract jails like up in Redwood City, up by Redding, California. And we never really had any problems as far as with the prisoners or anything like that. We always treated them with just human dignity, you know. If they needed to go to the toilet, we would stop, let them go to the toilet. If they were hungry, we'd get them a burger, because we could write it off anyway, so it was no skin off of our teeth. And it kept them quiet, you know, with a full stomach and everything, so it was a win-win. One day, it was all kind of serendipitous the way it happened. One day, Jerry told me, we got to pick up this prisoner and we're going to take him. And I made arrangements with our compadres, and we're going to stop at mile marker such and such on the highway, and we're going to walk him through the divide, the highway divide, which is heavily wooded, but they had it all, they'd done it before, so there was like a little trail. So I said, yeah, okay, you know. And it's serendipitous in the fact that when we left the jail, I forgot my pistol in the lockbox at the jail. And I don't know why, I just, you know, one of those things. And we got about 6 blocks back from the jail, 6 blocks away from the jail. And of course, the prisoners have ears like rabbits. They hear everything, you know. And I said, Jerry, I left my pistol back there at the lockbox, and he looked at me, you know, like, oh my God, you know. So, and all the prisoners caught on right off the bat. Yeah, Deputy forgot his gun back in the lockbox, ha, ha, ha. So we went back and got it, and there's no problem or anything. It was just like a major embarrassment in front of my TO. Well, so down the highway we went, and we got to the designated mile marker, and Jerry pulled the van over, and all the prisoners were talking like, hey, what's going on, you know? And he opened the sliding door, he says, all right, Jones, come on out. And Jones looked, and so we helped him out, because, you know, the minimum restraints we always used, no matter what, was a belly chain, cuffs, and leg irons. So we helped him get out, closed the door, and Jerry said, you think you could handle this? I said, yes, sir. And so he took off across the median and disappeared into the woods. Well, and the prisoners don't need to know, you know, what's going on, so we didn't tell them that we were doing just a transfer. And I was sitting back in the front of the van, you know, kind of like John with one of the prisoners in the front, about, you know, where he was from, why he decided on a life of crime, and all that kind of thing. And we hear this, boom, ka-wump, you know, like, I knew what a 357 sounded like, and it was not like a kapow, it was like a ka-wump, you know, like he'd hit something. I thought, Jesus, Jerry, but then Jerry comes walking back out, you know, of the woods within just seconds, you know, and I opened the door. I said, Jerry, is everything okay? He said, yeah, get back in the van. And got back in, and all the prisoners were pied, you know, and can I just say one thing? This is like over 20 years ago, so don't try this, because you'll get your ass suit off. Maybe worse. But anyway, all the prisoners, their eyes were like this big, you know. We got back in the van, and I'm looking at Jerry, and Jerry turns to me to where nobody could see out of his left eye. He winked at me, and then I was like, oh, okay. And then I knew that it was a setup. He'd set the prisoners up in the back. And listen, they didn't say a damn thing about Deputy Terry leaving his gun in the lockbox for the rest of the trip. Well, so anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. So I ended up with a bunch of fire-formed brass out there at the range, and was able to take my neck die and just resize the necks and got them all reloaded and they're ready to go. And I was going to go to the range today, but I got out there and they were closed for maintenance. I don't know what you do to close for maintenance, but anyway, excuse me. I was going to have some more fire-formed breast, but I decided to make this video and show you. Let me grab this Swede again. Not that Swede. This Swede. Oops. Set that back up. I decided to get a bipod because I had been using some sandbags. I tried one of those lead sled things. The lead sled works pretty good, but the type I have, it's hard to get around in behind the rifle. And I saw some other guys at the range that had some bipods. I thought, well, that could be a solution, so I got one. And the first one I got, and I'm not going to tell you the name, but they're on the internet and they're around $25. And it works okay, you know, but the problem is, watch. There's quite a bit of play, laterally speaking, and there's quite a bit of play this way, forward and back as well. And on a previous windy day, I tried this thing and the wind was actually blowing the rifle on the tripod. And I realized that this is not for a but a hunting caliber rifle. This is more for like if you wanted to get one of these for your kid's plinking rifle for a 22, it would be, you know, the perfect thing for them, and you can't really mess it up. It's kind of a clone of the bipod that starts with an H. You know what that is. In fact, it's pretty much a replica. But I'm sure that H bipods are probably, hopefully, they're more secure than this. So, there's nothing wrong with trying to save $1. But I had to spend, you know, some good money after that, and I got this Magpull, and I looked at some reviews on the internet, and they said the best bargain, or the best budget, which is what I'm on, a pension, it's the Magpull, and it's all like a nylon, you know, like a polymer type of nylon, and it's tough as nails, and I'll tell you, and it's adjustable, and it goes, the attachment to the rifle sling, it's really cool. It has self-indexes onto the swivel, and you just start turning the knob here, and the little teeth just grab onto it. Really sweet. And then the actual bipod itself is, as far as like lateral motion goes, there isn't any. I mean, in the wind, it doesn't move at all. Laterally, it's solid. The only play in this, and it's solid up here where it grabs onto the stock. The only play in this is a little bit fore and aft. And even years ago, people talked about that when these first came out. But they said, well, that's so you can load it up a little bit. And lo and behold, if you take this and you just put a little, I mean, you're putting pressure, if you put a little forward pressure on the rifle, it loads those legs up, and listen, it's solid. These are solid bipods, and they don't allow any movement in your crosshairs on the target whatsoever. So I definitely, if you want to spend less than $100 and still end up with a good set of bipod legs, definitely check out these from Magpull. You're going to get your money's worth and you'll be very happy with that. I mean, don't think it's a mil-spec bipod for 400 or north of that, because it's not, but it's really lightweight, and for what I need it for is perfect. So how did we do that windy day out of the range? Well, I'll let you see. This is 140 grain, the Hornady SST, and I've got 41 grains of Hodgdon 4350 loaded, and we got 2 3-shot groups. This is the first 3. I lowered it down, and then we're talking some little variations due to the wind, but like 1, 2, 3. So really nice. That's about an inch, a little over an inch group. Less than an inch and a quarter, but a little over an inch. So we're pretty happy with that. We're getting there. And I really like that 4350 powder. Now I'm going to bump that up a little bit. I'm going to go to 42.5 grains. And I don't know, that's supposed to be a magic number or something. But anyway, let's see. The Glock. I just got my Glock back from the Glock store. And I wanted to have this, it's an older Glock. It's a Generation 2. And I like it. It shoots well for me. But I wanted to do a little upgrade because all the finish was coming off the slide, which doesn't really hurt anything. But I had an older, what was that? It was, I had an older semi-auto pistol, a Walther PPK, and blued steel. And this was about, I don't know, in the late 90s, and I had it sent off. We used to be able, you could send it off directly and they would do it for you and send it back. And they did a really nice job. And if you're not familiar with NP3, is that one of the characteristics is extremely corrosion resistant, and also it's slick as snot. So you really don't even have to where you have parts rubbing together, if one of the parts is on NP3, you really don't need to oil that part, because I'm telling you, it's like self-lubricating and corrosion-proof, and it's an amazing coating. The problem these days is the company that was doing it, where you could send it to direct, they kind of went bankrupt. And another company bought them and the process and everything, but they are only allowing federal firearms dealers and big dealers to send in. And so what happens is, and they do batch processing, and I'm not sure how the timing works or anything, but by the time they got around to my batch, it was 4 months down the road. So don't think you're just going to send it and then get it back. The price was pretty reasonable. It was just the time factor that was really frustrating. Even though I have another Glock to shoot, I wanted this one back because, you know, this is the one I trust, and it's been with me for the longest. And it turned out really nice. Here's the NP3 coating. And while I was there, I had the night sights done, the Trigicon night sights. The only thing when it got back is I was kind of like pushing on the front side to make sure, because these are mounted with a screw, a tiny Glock front sight screw. It's a 3/16 inch. So while I had it apart and was checking everything just to make sure that I got it back in a reasonable condition, that they reassembled all the slide parts and that it works and shoots, I did notice that was loose. So I do have the little 3/16 wrench, and I took it off, put a little Loctite on there, and put it back down with a minimal amount of pressure. And it hasn't gone anywhere, it hasn't done anything. And so far, so good. I'm really happy with it. Thank you, Glock Store, but I'm going to give you 4 stars instead of 5 because I'm the one that had to contact you for updates. But you did a good job, so thank you. And what else? Well, I guess that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you get a chance, push those buttons, because at some point it'd be nice to monetize this and actually make a few coins from it. I appreciate it. I appreciate you watching. Until the next time, Thurkastruck a monomer. Let's see.